Well, media, advertising, and the sheeple. And, this goes along with any damn thing there is. If any time they want to start a social trend, it can very easily be done because most people are sheep. No doubt about it. That's called a herd mentality. And actually, the only way to be successful is to separate yourself from the herd and go your own way. That's really what the hell the deal is. Because as sheep or being part of the herd, you suffer the fate of the herd. It's not like the majority always wins. It's not like the majority is actually always right. If you got a whole bunch of lemmings going off a cliff, hell to hell with that. You don't follow them, right? Now, I actually going to talk about, actually this is very true though, even though advertising works too. And when you're looking at anything that's out there, whether it be advertising for a product or advertising for a political candidate or advertising something to start a trend or even advertising for I don't know. You can even call it like a belief, like your opinion or whatever. It all works into the same type of category because once something starts, it takes a life of its own. Once the herd starts moving, a lot of people join the herd. That's what happens. If they all hate something, well, everybody hates it. If everybody likes something, everybody likes it. I can never understand, even way back when, how some of these trends took about. It's like, but it gets started though with money a lot of times, and there's always a modus operandi behind the whole freaking game. But if you are a sheep, one thing you should notice is this, and I'm gonna tell you, this is like rule number one. If the major media is for it, you should be against it. Pretty much the way it is. If the big money's for it, you should be against it. Now, actually, I'm going to drop a couple dimes on this thing after about myself. I actually put this on other videos. Not that I'm some big highfalutin something, but I can tell you one thing. I got more DNA genealogy going back to elitists and patriots than a lot of people that are in famous positions. I can tell you that right now as a fact. But one thing I used to always wonder was even how the counterculture started in the '60s. With the Beatles. I was never really a big fan of the Beatles. I could never understand that. It was like every time a record came out for the Beatles, it was like, oh, the latest record for the Beatles just came out, and it was like, I was like, so what? And I'm thinking, hey Jude, don't let me down. I was like, that sucks, man. I don't like that song. And everybody's like, oh, it's so great. Let's smoke some more pot. I don't want to smoke pot, you jerk. Anyway, I want to get drunk. I want wine. I'd rather be a wino than a pothead. Anyway, so I was more into that sort of shit way back. Not the pot. I was more into give me a bottle of some of this stuff instead of that shit. But anyway, I always wondered why people even went this direction. And it's like the counterculture becomes the culture. The counterculture becomes the conformist. And even like when you had a counterculture back in the '60s, all these people were conformists. They all did the same thing. This works like with any damn genre or group. It could be somebody that's into hip hop. It could be somebody into Harley Davidson motorcycles. Hip hop has got their own culture. Harley Davidson motorcycles got their own culture. With I gotta have a Harley. I gotta have a tattoo. I gotta wear leather. I gotta do this. I gotta have patches. Everybody's got to be the same. But I call that conformity. Now, this is really what it is, though. At the essence. And even religion could be said to be advertising in some ways, or making people into sheep followers, herding the group, herding everybody into one group. And if you don't conform, everybody beats you over the head. But it works in other ways too. Like not just with advertising like this. One of the biggest brand recognitions out there is like Coca-Cola, for instance. And I actually put out. That's one of the reasons they shouldn't be changing the face on a dollar. Whether even if they had really good reasons to do it for other reasons, but it's called brand recognition. You screw with the brand, you can actually screw up your customer base by to look at it with suspicion. Like, is it the same thing anymore? When you change what they're used to looking at versus what they're accustomed to, they change the brand loyalty. But what I'm saying is that people are generally sheep. There's no doubt about it. This is 99.99% of the problem with every damn thing there is. It's like they got to go along with whatever. And a lot of times, even if the herd is going along a certain way, and you decide not to go along with the herd will kick your ass and say you got to go along with the herd too. That kind of burns me up. Now, what I realize though is that one of the biggest problems we have in our society today is that people are being directed more easily because the avenues of communication are far more out there than they used to be. It used to be before somebody would have to make a speech out to you in person, or somebody would have to actually print up a document and distribute it. You know, you're talking about, maybe just, I don't know, 100 years ago, right? Then it came out with radio. Then it came out with television. But, it's like now with social media and advertising everywhere and the internet, it's very easy to corral people and get them all into one mindset. I think I can tell you, and in a lot of ways, the effect of this has probably made the millennials some of the biggest brain dead generation of our time. I think every generation that's, they used to say like, the new generation's worse than the old generation. I think that's been true all along for the last couple hundred years probably, or maybe at least 100 years at least. The generation even of the 1930s, even the ones that suffered through the Great Depression, they didn't suffer anywhere near as what their ancestors suffered back in the 1800s, going through the war between the states or Western movement into this country, or what the colonists had to suffer back when they tried to break away from the UK, or when they first came over to this country and they endured hardships. Each generation's had it softer and softer, but each generation is actually molded into brainwashing by the major media all the time. And the more electronic stuff we got going, the more problems we have. Now, brand recognition actually is a very, very important thing. Now, you can see like Trump, he's got his name all over everything. That's part of his brand. One reason he puts his name all over every damn thing is because, that's his brand. It's brand recognition. You realize if you're at this golf course, it's Trump. You're at this casino, it's Trump, or whatever. But speaking of Trump, it's pretty damn obvious that this guy is the guy that's not in with the sheep. He's not in with the herd. He's the maverick. He's the guy that's actually freaking fighting the powers. And I've been noticing a lot how much the major media has been attacking this guy left and right. Actually, initially I wasn't trusting this guy at all. But it's another example. Well, that's me being a little bit of independent thinking, because I realize most people with money are full of it. Just like the Koch brothers, with their Tea Party and all that other bullshit. They're the guys that are actually talking about Trump right now, that he's no good, that he's, everybody in the Republican field is worse than Hillary Clinton, and the Koch brothers of the Tea Party, quote unquote, are actually siding with Hillary Clinton over everybody else in the Republican field. I'm like, well, baby. Actually, Trump could still be a scam for all I know. If he winds up, he doesn't get the nomination, and he drops out, and then, a lot of Republicans decide not to vote. Hillary's their next president, right? I mean, maybe there is a scam going on here somehow or another. I don't know. I don't trust nothing, to tell you the truth. I'm a very, very independent thinker, and you should be too. It's like I can't say nothing for absolutely certain, but I look at all avenues, and you should too. And that's really my point. And I want to tell you something, though, about, when I'm actually putting a lot of stuff out on these videos, like sometimes I'll put products out, products that I don't have any financial affiliation with any of these people or anything like that. Some people might think that I do. I don't. What goes on is I buy the stuff, I research the best I can, and I'll go with it and I'll look at it. And if I think something's shit, I'll tell you it's shit. But the problem is with some of the things even you see, like with people reviewing products, they don't actually review them. What I'm trying to do is steer people straight, but I always say is this: think for yourself. Do not be influenced by the jackass major media or advertising or anything. But honestly, advertising pretty much always works, and it always has an influence on you. I could, one thing, the only social media I think I'm on is actually is YouTube, but I'm not on Facebook at all, and I don't believe in KGB book at all. But it's part of the propaganda and brainwashing that's going on here throughout the world. It's almost like, why do millennials think that, I can tell you right now, some of the people that are, well, let's not even talk about the millennials. I can tell you, like, some of the most staunchest supporters of Hillary Clinton, if they lived back in the 1800s, what they would be is totally radical religious Bible thumpers to the max. Why? Because they're nothing but a freaking sponge. Whatever you freaking tell them, they absorb, and that's it. You give them a bunch of freaking rule sets, and you tell them that's what it's supposed to be, that's what they do. If they lived in Islam country, they'd be radical Muslims. If they lived in Nazi Germany in the 1930s, they would be freaking radical Nazis. That's what a lot of these Hillary Clinton supporters are. They don't think for themselves. They're not free thinkers. Like, I'm generally more for Trump now because I've realized maybe he has a more of a pro-USA background due to his 5 years in the New York Military Academy. But I'm also not totally brainwashed by a lot of people saying, oh, Trump is this and Trump is that and Trump is going to fix everything. Yeah, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, one of the things you really want to do is be a free thinker all the way. Like if you're the hippie that walks into the hippie movement with a three-piece suit and clean shaved and you got your hair's not long, well, you could be more of a free thinker than any of those hippies out there too. And, when I look at it like, Facebook right now, I look at Facebook like they're the herd. They're the herd. And if Zuckerman doesn't like something you're saying on Facebook, he's the guy that freaking tells you not to say it, right? Now, I gotta tell you one thing. I like YouTube a lot better than Facebook, but unfortunately, it's not 100% perfect. But I can tell you one thing: that it's a hell of a lot better than the rest of the freaking social media for what you could say. Now, I'm gonna tell you something else a little bit about myself here. I'm not 110% sure about lineage back to Nathan Lionel Rothschild, but I could tell you that I do have 99.999% certainty, which is better than freaking even having a birth certificate. They got lineage back to Edward VII, which is he was Duke Albert Edward when he fathered my great grandfather. Now, Lord Chancellor Greg Hallett also states that what they found out in 2010 and 2012 was that Nathan Lionel Rothschild was the actual father of Duke Albert Edward, who later became Edward VII. So that would actually make him my three greats grandfather, Lionel Nathan Rothschild. Now, that being said, I can tell you one thing. I'm not part of that group, but I can also tell you, I am part of that group, if that's true. I'm definitely part of the freaking group of Edward VII. There's no doubt about it. But on the other side, I can tell you one thing, and this is where I think I'm a little bit of a maverick, where even though I could say, like, and I'm not thinking, like, blue blood, la-di-da, that makes me great, I realize this blue blood shit means you're a viper, okay? That's really what the hell it means. It doesn't mean you're, like, high and mighty. It means you got a little bit of viper in you, man. That's what it freaking means. But I can tell you, I also got freaking blood going all the way back on my father's side, and it's very easy to trace because it just goes right back through my last name. It's not like I'm going through my last name to my mother's last name, my mother's maiden name, to her father's name, to some uncle, to their name. No, directly to my father, all the way back. I got three going all the way back to the American Revolution. One was a captain in the General Francis Marion's Swamp Fox. He was the Swamp Fox in South Carolina, going back to South Carolina. I know I'm from Jersey, but my father's grandfather was born in South Carolina, and they go all the way back to the South, all the way back to right after the Jamestown settlement, practically. Also got a ranger, another one, the second one that was a ranger in Captain Wise's Rangers, and also his son was 16 years old. He fought at the Charleston, South Carolina. So I got three in the American Revolution, and then 2 generations later, they fought for the same thing, 13 stars, 13 Confederate states, actually 11 Confederate states, 2 territories. One of the territories were the Indian Territory, which was present-day Oklahoma. That was the Cherokee Indians, the last Confederate general to actually, that was Chief Stan Wadey, and also Arizona Territory. Now, what I'm bringing this out is because I want to tell you where I'm coming from. Even though maybe I got a little bit of lineage going back to some blue blood shit, which I'm not going to say it's shit or bad or anything, but, somebody might say that that means I'm a sellout or I'm a disinformation guy. No, I'm telling you the freaking truth. Because one half of me's got that and the other half don't. The other half of me's got the American Revolution, and the other half of me's got going right straight forward 2 generations later, like it was the grandson of the youngest one that fought in the American Revolution. He was the oldest guy that fought in the Confederacy. Same state, South Carolina. Same state, South Carolina. And his two oldest sons, they fought for 4.5 years in the Confederacy and survived. Um, Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because, if you want to actually say the truth and you want to not go along with the herd, you freaking say what the hell is true and the hell with the bullshit. Fortunately, good thing that YouTube lets me put some of this Confederate stuff on here because, and you know what? It's not like I'm playing racial or some trying to divide tensions. I'm putting some stuff out there that is not what the major media wants you to know about. And honestly, I do this. I take this same type of mentality with everything I put out here. Everything, everything. Even though I got linkage back, I definitely got linkage back to Edward VII. I don't know if this Lord Chancellor Greg Hallett is right about Edward VII's father being Lionel Nathan Rothschild. If that's correct, then I got lineage back to Rothschild himself. But maybe it's true because I found a picture of another thing too. It was the only color photograph of Edward VII was taken by Lionel Nathan Rothschild in 1909. 1909. It was found 100 years later in 2009. Um, I actually have lineage back to. Well, I definitely have lineage back to Edward VII. But more than likely, his father is Nathan Lionel Rothschild. Not this is Nathan Rothschild, but I'm talking about Nathan Lionel Rothschild. But you know what? The other side of me's got the revolutionary spirit. So I want to tell you something, and it's something my uncle used to tell me all the time. You know, he says the rest were sheep. He was a top CPA in New York. And there's a lot of CPAs out there. I mean, they don't mean shit to me. I mean, CPA, blah, blah, blah. But, he was a top CPA in New York. And you know what he used to always tell me? Even about this stuff back in the hippies. And I agreed with him 110% because I used to talk to him for many hours at a time. Is that these people were actually conformists. And today, when people are actually being told, like millennials and shit, like, I guess I'm more of a libertarian, but I'm not going to say something anti-transgender or whatever the hell it is. But when they're talking about, the bathroom issue in North Carolina with the lesbian, gay, transgender community and stuff, whatever the hell it is, they're just going by whatever the hell they're told to do. Actually, these people, if they lived all the way back in the 1800s, they were the strictest disciplinarian, Bible thumper, moralists going, because they just do whatever the hell the powers that be advertise them to do. That's what's going on. It's like this whole hippie culture, counterculture, was actually started by big money. I mean, the Tavistock Institute was the one that actually pushed the Beatles too. And what the hell, I mean, you think the Beatles freaking made it all on their own? Or some record company got it? I mean, their songs were lame, man. I didn't like their shit. Most of their shit, I think, sucked, to tell you the truth. There's a lot of stuff out there, even from Australia, that's way freaking better than you probably ever never hear of them today from way back in that time. A lot of buried groups from way back in that time that were way better, man. I don't know why the hell the Beatles took off, but you know what it is. They were the ones that were chosen to lead the counterculture. What was the counterculture really supposed to be doing? It wasn't supposed to be creating free thinkers. It was actually there to create people that were homogenized, people that all thought the same, and actually for political purposes. And actually, at the time of the counterculture and hippies, it was actually to destroy the established society that was for the benefit of the ordinary people. It wasn't there to destroy the establishment. It was there to destroy the established society of the benefit of the ordinary people. Just like the freaking millennials are being taught like a pile of bullshit. Well, I don't even want to rag on them because you know what? Every generation's gotten worse. The baby boomers were worse than the freaking. I mean, Generation X is probably worse than the baby boomers. The baby boomers were worse than the silent generation from the 1930s. And if you go back from there, the generation of World War One and the Indian Wars and Western movement, they were stronger than the people of the freaking the people of the Great Depression. And I could say the people that are actually formed this country and first came in this country during the Revolutionary War were stronger than the people even during the times of the Old West. Each succeeding generation is actually nothing but a, a scaled down mirror image of the generation before. But I think there's going to be coming a time not just of a financial reset or a social reset, but actually a reset where people are going to have to go hardcore, tough as nails, or not survive. People that go with the herd are not going to survive. It's the people that are the lone wolf, the predators, they will survive. Advertising does work in a lot of ways because it makes sheeple out of people. And sheeple is what they want because sheeple are the ones that are consumers. They'll graze the grass, they will buy the products, and they will follow orders and they just obey. But you know, that's not what I'm here on YouTube to do. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not something where I'm actually pushing fear, but I'm actually pushing what is independence, independent minded all the way. I think I got angles on things that other people don't have. And I can tell you, I also think I got more revolutionary spirit than other people don't have. Because if you notice one thing, I'll do a lot more hands-on shit than a lot of other people ever will. They talk in front of things about, you know, the financial this and that, or what the major media is doing. But you know, they don't get out there and dirty, and they don't actually get their hands dirty and do stuff like I do. Even though I understand a lot of the things that require a lot more thought and how to put together something that could be a lot more analytical or a lot more constructed in finding a correct conclusion for. So a lot of times, I just want to say this though, that beware of not just the major media, but beware of the cultural brainwashing. Beware of advertising that is, you know, just designed to make a trend versus something that's advertising to present a product that's useful. You know, I actually try to present products that are useful on my channel. And also beware of what the crowd says. 99% of the time, the crowd is wrong. You know, I even look at this guy Trump. I mean, yeah, maybe he's a maverick or something, but you know, I'm not buying everything what everybody says about him too. I mean, you know, he's not perfect, but I look at the way I'm looking at it right now, compared to the rest of the stuff. The rest of the stuff I actually loathe. You know what I mean? So I'll go along with Trump. But anytime these cuckold dorks in the major media try to freaking, and these brainwashed libtards that went to communist, I call it the communist daycare, which poses as a college or university, and getting indoctrinated, and they're writing stuff to try to destroy this guy. I look at it like this. You know, I go the opposite way. I don't follow the sheep. I don't follow the sheep. But neither do I follow the sheep that are Trump sheep, too. You know, I don't follow that. I don't follow the hippie movement. I don't follow any of this crap. You know, if I found a way to chemically make freaking Coca-Cola and make my own shit, you know, I'll make my own shit. You know what I mean? I won't buy. I'll cut out the middleman. I'll cut out the name brand. But you know what I have to say here is that do not be a sheep. Do not be a follower. And I'm not going to steer you wrong on this damn channel. I'll tell you that right now. I'm probably going to start taking the kid gloves off on this Hillary Clinton bullshit. There's a lot more shit I know about the stuff that went on in the background. You might see more videos on this. And, you know, when I put that video out about Danny Williams a couple years ago, the illegitimate son of Bill Clinton, you know, I know Danny Williams picked it up on his Facebook. That's got some hits. And I know that's actually woke some people up to what's going on with Bill and Hillary. But I know a hell of a lot more than that, because I knew a hell of a lot more than that before 1992 when the guy was first elected. But even though I got lineage, and you know what? Bill Clinton's got lineage going back to Edward VII too, from I think Winston Churchill. But I got lineage. I mean, actually, that makes him some kind of cousin of mine. You know that? That does. That does. I got the same damn thing. But the other side of me's got something else. It's called the American Revolution and the Confederacy. And you know what that's about? That means say no to all the freaking Yankee bullshit that's up north. Even though I'm from up north, I'm a fucking revolutionary all the way, and that's all there is to it.